Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Push Talk. We're here tonight. I'm your host, Nick Haywood, and I'm here with Joshua James. We're going to have a little bit of conversation tonight about the Push Project and some of his favorite affirmations, and just share a little bit with Josh. Welcome to Push Talk, Josh. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, I appreciate it, Nick. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm ready for this dialogue we're about to have.
All right, perfect. So we're just going to jump right into it, man. So the Push Project, my book of affirmations that was published earlier this year, 40 affirmations. Favorites can change from time to time, but tell me, what is your favorite affirmation?
Well, I'm smiling because you told me to pick one.
Right.
But when I read the book when I first got it, and I went through it again, and I had to pick 15 through 17.
Okay.
I know you said one, but that conglomerate of affirmations,
okay,
touched me personally. If you don't mind, I'm gonna start with them, or unless you want to lead to that part.
You go right ahead.
The first one, ironically, was from my mother, and she said, "I am the recipient of answered prayers."
Yes.
And what that meant to me is just what it said. I look at some of the things in my life, some of the decisions that I made,
right,
good and bad, and I realized that, and it's going to go on to affirmation 17, but I realized that it's something beyond me that has gotten me to this point. And I am the recipient of answered prayers. Some of those prayers were mine. Some of those prayers were from people other than me that the Lord saw fit to answer.
Yes.
So when I first read that affirmation and I reread it again today, I must say that fit my life perfectly, which brought me, like I said, to the conglomerate. Affirmation 16. It said, "I am an imperfect, scarred vessel that God just continues to shed grace and mercy upon daily." I think that's all of us, man.
Right.
With the job I have, working with at-risk kids, seeing things in the community.
Right.
It's been times, Nick, where I've went into the community and I said, "Man, Lord, what have I did to deserve the blessings you gave me?"
Right.
And we all have our struggles, but when you see some of the struggles that other people face, you can't help but say that the Lord has a hand on us, has a hand on me. And I'm just thankful. Excuse me, that's my son. But I'm just thankful that I'm trying to find the right word. I'm thankful that the Lord has been there for me when I haven't been there for myself.
Right.
I'm thankful that the Lord has blessed me in ways that I'm undeserving, which, as it says in the affirmation, an imperfect vessel, which we all are, but Lord knows, I'm so imperfect.
Right.
I mean, sometimes I just think it's not fair.
Okay.
And finally, it leads me to the last affirmation. And, excuse me, Nick.
Take your time.
Sarah, can you shut the door for me? I'm talking, baby. Finally, it leads me to the last one, and this is one I know that you feel as well.
Right.
Affirmation 17. I am the product of a praying grandmother.
Yes.
We spoke about this on a prayer call yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick, when you think about our family,
right,
that we have over like 50 first cousins, I don't even know how many, after that, and then we had 10 aunts and uncles. We have not lost somebody. We have not touched death. Since 2001, when Nana died to this year, we went through a 20-year window where death and misfortune escaped our family. And when I say, I want to say misfortune because some people have been through things, you've been through a traumatic experience, but death that one and finally thing has escaped our family. And I have to say it is because we've had a praying grandmother, a praying grandfather, praying mothers.
Right.
I mean, we are products of that. I believe wholeheartedly because our grandmother and our parents diligently sought the Lord that some form of blessing has been placed upon us. And not that you want to put our family over on a pedestal or say that you're better, but I do believe that they have things as generational curses, but vice versa, I do believe there's generational blessings. And we've been blessed more than I ever realized, but the older I get, the more I appreciate that death has not found us for that long. We experienced that time of period. The more I appreciate the situation that you went through, and that you said they had your death certificate, but yet still they pull you out of that. The more I appreciate your father, you know, if I'm saying too much, forgive me, but the situation he had where his sugar, he almost went into a diabetic coma, and had not we was eating dinner that day, he probably would have died at that house. The more I appreciate me working night shift and driving and falling asleep and coming literally feet away from running into a Mack truck, I have to say it is because the power of praying parents and grandparents. Right. So those 3 affirmations, I mean, it just from, you know, it just hit me on the head. And I could go on and on about it, man, but those 3 are my favorite by far.
Gotcha. So when we talk about affirmation 17 being the product of a praying grandmother, what's amazing to me, and the part of the story that I like to want everyone to understand, is when it comes to our grandmother Nana and my grandmother Queen, neither of them had college education. Okay, so they came from a time when they raised families and they worked, but the wisdom and the knowledge and the faith that they had, look at what it did for them versus where I feel as though we as a people are today with our faith. You know, I think that we are people that need to be able to research it and tangibly come to a conclusion before we believe it. But they were people that believed it just from hearing, because they never really had that much of an in-depth research. Now, so how would you parallel the faith of our grandparents to the faith that we have today?
I hate to say it, but it's not close.
Not at all.
That's how I feel.
Right.
Even if you saw the post, I post today, and I look at my mother just every night, every morning, first thing she's going to do is pray. And me, I hop out of bed and go to work.
Yeah.
It's like, I spoke with our cousin Reggie. I said, man, we've gotten away from our teachings. And I have a theory.
Right.
This is my personal belief. You know, when you hear about Adam and Eve and you know, when they ate from the tree, and you wonder why would God tell them not to eat from the tree? I think the wisdom in that, whether you believe it's allegory or truth, I think the wisdom is that it's some things that hurt to know. So what I mean by that is, as we have grown as a family, as we have become more worldly as a family, as we have attained more success, we have PhDs, we have CEOs, whatever you want to call it, in a way it's pulled us away from God. Just like Eve covered herself up when she got that knowledge. But remember, when the disciples tried to shoot a child away, Jesus said, unless you come upon like a child, you can't inherit the kingdom.
That's it.
So what does that mean? A child, my son, he doesn't ask questions. If I say, son, don't go outside, he believes in his heart. And my father has my best interest at heart. Therefore, if he tells me something, I'm just going to do it. And that's why, like I said earlier, from affirmation 17 or 15 through 17, that's why I believe when our grandparents prayed, when our parents prayed, stuff moved because they had faith. But now, yeah, Nick, I got faith, but you know what? I better catch this extra shift because I got to pay this bill. Yeah, Nick, I got faith, but you see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We got faith, but to the degree they had of that, cuz I just don't see it. Not at this moment. Not in my life, at least.
Exactly.
Yeah, let me say that. Not in my life. I'm not there yet.
Well, we all are. I'm totally on the same page with you in that. I mean, it's amazing But that just shows you, it's not, education is important and it's necessary. But when you have an unwavering faith that's just deeply rooted in, I may not have ever seen it done, but I know God can do it. It's just amazing. And how those prayers from way before there was a you and a me, how we're still covered by the blessings of those prayers. I think that's a great testament to their faith. And that's a great
That's right.
testament for us to what we can strive to do. I think it would be a blessing to be able to pray over my children and then hear them say in their 40s that they know this is a manifestation of my prayers. That's what it's all about. And when we were looking at affirmation 16, the imperfect scarred vessel, what I loved about this one was just I wanted everyone to understand that, we are all, I've heard someone say before that everyone loves to praise the flower, but few people tend to recognize the pot.
Right.
We always want to look at the good that's coming forth and how things are moving forward, but we never think about the basis or what's holding it together or where it came from. We see the beautiful flower, but we never take notice of the pot that's in. We'll water the flower, we'll feed the flower, but we hardly ever wipe down the pot. But, as an imperfect, scarred vessel, it's amazing that out of everyone that God can choose, He chooses imperfect, scarred vessels. So when you think about the imperfection being made perfect, how have you seen that in your own personal walk?
In my personal walk, I think about a guy like Uncle Mike.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is this. Personally, he's one of the most faithful people I know. He's
Right.
one of the more disciplined men I know. He's one of those guys who you won't see shout in the church. You won't see pass out. He gonna do a head clap and a nod, but he lives, from my viewpoint,
Right.
like a man of God should live.
Okay.
And bringing it back to your point, he's the guy who got his girlfriend pregnant his senior year in high school.
Right.
So I can imagine in the 70s, and my aunt coming from a family that she was from. And I know Granddaddy got saved later on, but he might have been saved at this point.
Right.
But my Nana, she was then. And I can imagine the turmoil they went through. But he was an imperfect vessel. But look how many people he touched. You just gave an analogy about how people see the flower, but they don't see the pot. People see me sometimes, they say, man, Josh, you're doing this and you're doing that. And I give all praises to my mother, but they also have to understand is a part of that pot that kept me in, that helped me to grow, is that man who got his girlfriend pregnant in high school, who people said wasn't going to be nothing.
Right.
And that's, to me, how affirmation 16 has affected my walk in my life.
Perfect. That's what it's all about, man, because there's good in everything and in every situation, and God is always going to get the glory. But it's amazing how perception can tell you that something's not going to be, and then if you stick with it long enough, you get to see what it turns out to be. And I'm thankful for Uncle Mike and Aunt Deborah as well, because it's just a further testament, man. It's all about grace. As long as we have the grace, we're going to make it. That's always. And with affirmation 15, the recipient of the answered prayers. You're right. They all three tie together perfectly. And when I wrote this affirmation, I was at a time in my life with just total chaos and craziness. I was living in Augusta. I was super depressed. And me being so far away from Christ, I prayed that when your brother had a child, that he would think of me to be the child's godfather. And prayed it, kind of didn't think much about it. Wasn't really praying much at that point in my life. But when the day came, and without hesitation, Tim asked, it just showed me that God is faithful and God is always there. And he's always there with us. So we find these things through his love, which is a great thing. But at getting back to the book in general, when you read the book, like what were your thoughts? Who did you think the book would appeal to? Like, just share with us.
It would appeal to everybody.
Okay.
I mean, I know that's like kind of a vague answer, but it's the truth, and I mean that.
Okay.
You got one that says, I think it says something like, "I'm a warrior."
Yes.
You had one that said like, "I'm very capable. I'm capable."
Yeah.
That's something the guy on Wall Street who's trying to, he can read that, and that could be his affirmation.
Right.
I am a warrior. That could be for the guy living in the projects who society has said, "Hey man, you're gonna be on welfare, you're not gonna be nothing, you're gonna be dead on you in jail by 25." But now he's a warrior.
Right.
I'm getting emotional talking about it because it's real. That guy can read it and get the same, if not more, just like the guy from Wall Street can read it. It fits all walks of life. And I'm not saying that because he's my cousin. I'm saying that because it's true. Right. Anybody can read this and get something from it. I just got to jump back to our last point when going back to affirmation 15.
Yes.
I'm a recipient of answered prayers.
Yes.
And I think about this time I went to church with you. And I don't even I know you remember it. It was like in Buford.
Yes.
You go to church in Buford.
Right.
And I forgot why, but like, he was like, "Yo, come to church with me." And that is the only time in my life that I spoke in tongues. I don't know if you remember the guy, he made like the oil or something that Aaron made or the Levites made.
Yes.
And like I said, I'm not saying that wrong with it, but I'm not this, I don't want anybody who sees this get the wrong impression of it. I'm not like this holy, but I remember, man, I actually like spoke in tongues. And I remember I was on my knees and I was praying, and God said, I was going through a little bit of turmoil with school, with football, things of that nature. Uh-huh. And a voice came in my head and it said, "When have I ever forsaken you?"
Right.
This is fact. I never even told you this.
No.
I remember it clear as day. A voice came to me and said, "When have I ever forsaken you?" Yeah. Basically, stop worrying. That's affirmation 15, Nick. I am a recipient of answered prayers, man.
Yes.
Even now in my life, when I go through things and it's looking a little shaky, that voice, when have I ever forsaken you? What you doubting for?
Right.
What you doubting me for? I got it. Just relax. And I'm sorry, I know that's a little bit.
No, you're good. You're good.
Something you said before you got to this question brought that up in my mind. But going back to the question, man, it's for everybody. Anybody can read this and get something out of it.
Okay, good. Yeah, I wanted to cover all bases, man. Those that are Christians and religious, those that are going through and searching for their way, wherever you are, it was my hope that the book could reach you and bless you in some way, shape, or form. I did an interview and people asked me when the Push Project was birthed. And last year at my 40th birthday party was when this all came together. I had been toying with the idea of writing, but for my 40th, I wanted to bring people together from all walks of life and from all points in my life. When I was good, when I was up, when I was down, when I knew where I was going, when I had no idea where I was going. I just wanted everybody to come together so that we could all be reminded that it's with love and kindness that we draw one another. And even though we may not all look alike, we may not all act alike, but we all love alike. And when there's genuine love, people can be blessed. But we tend as people to navigate toward people that we know in situations that we're comfortable speaking in. But the same love that we share with those we know, we can share with those that we don't know, and it'll still bless them. Because you never know who's awaiting your smile. You never know who's awaiting kind words from you. You just never know. And with you being my cousin and sharing with me what you just shared, I feel as though you've had a front row seat, for my journey through the good and the bad. And I did my best to be as transparent as I could with the journey. So a pivotal point for me was coming back to preach at St. Stephen's on the other year. And the message was redemption in the red light district.
Red light district. Good word, brother. I still remember it.
When you see the growth and the transition, we always talk about the fact that everybody's watching. So as a person that's watching the evolution of the Push Project, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that you're just to the tip. My thoughts are that you're who I'm trying to think of a person in a word that will fit what I'm trying to say. You're something like Moses, man. And what I mean by that is, as much as we give Moses, as much as he is such a stature in the biblical story, Moses went through. He went through so much.
Right.
You know, it was an order to kill all Hebrew boys. His mother had to send him away. He was raised amongst the Egyptians. And to be raised amongst the Egyptians, he saw one of his Hebrew people getting beat. He murdered a guy. He ran off into the wilderness. Right. When he came back, when the Lord first talked to him, he told the Lord, but I'm hard of speech. He had a stuttering problem.
Right.
Once he got the people amongst him, he probably thought, well, I got the Lord, what's going to happen? Nah, man, I think I might be misquoting him, but he had to go back to Pharaoh something like 10 times. Right. Like 7 times, 7 places in Egypt, like 7 times. Yeah. Pharaoh, it was hard. And then once he got, it's the first thing, he parted the Red Sea. Once he parted the Red Sea, he got in the wilderness, they was worshiping the golden calf. I mean, even though it wasn't him personally, what I think it relates to you is that his road was so bumpy and so hard. And even in the end, because he broke the tablets, the Lord told him, you'll get to see the promised land, but you won't go in it. I believe you're going to get into the promised land. I know you are. But what I'm saying is that Moses, man, reminds me of you because that road was just so bumpy. It was so hard. I remember me and you speaking when I was at probation and parole. It was probably like the last time, maybe it was 2 years ago, that we had like one of those deep combos.
Right. And,
you were dealing with some issues then. And I remember just being worried about you, me talking and praying. And, that was just one of those things that I think when you reach your pinnacle, right, your story is going to be so powerful, people are going to have to gravitate to it because you've seen it.
Right.
It's one thing for me to say, trust God. God can do this for you. Right. It's another thing to say, man, I was declared dead.
Right.
It's another thing to say, I dealt with depression and suicidal thoughts.
Yes.
It's another thing to say, I was preaching, I was with the word, then I lost faith, but then I got it back. Right. It's one thing to tell somebody to do it. It's another thing to say, hey, I've been through it. Right. Now follow me. So what I see from you is that growth.
Thank you.
I see this as a start.
Right.
But when you reach your pinnacle, man, it's going to be something to behold. I mean that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a movement, man. And I'm thankful to be a conduit to get it started, but I'm thankful for people like you and everyone that supports. And I'm thankful for the transparency, because that was a big thing for me, to be able to learn to not be embarrassed of what you went through and realize that those situations I went through was so that I could have a better understanding and being able to identify those that are going through it. So I'm thankful, man. And I thank you for taking this time to share with me tonight. Watching your growth, man, is also encouraging and inspiring. To see you as a father, to see you working so great in the community and working so great in the church, man. And see, it's all about us coming together. We all have a role to do. And we encourage one another along the way, and we lift one another up so that when we make it, there's room at the top for everyone. So
that's right.
And I encourage you to continue on doing what you're doing. And you know that I'm always just a phone call away to help out if I can or whatever I can do. And we'll be doing push talks often. And you're more than welcome. You're always welcome to be a push partner and be on the panel with us, man. Is there anything else you want to share in closing?
Nah, man, I just want to say thank you for letting me take part of this. Thank you for your book. I do plan on, I am going to have this in my office. And I bought like an extra copy. And I do plan on giving this to kids who are in need. And I just want to tell you, man, just keep fighting, man.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that I deal with personally is like anxiety. You know what I'm saying? I've told you this before. Just my father died when I was 1. Like, I always feel like my mortality is near. And I know I need to get away from that, but sometimes it makes it hard to be happy because I feel like if I get too happy, something's going to happen.
Right.
And I know that to a certain extent are in a different realm that you may have those thoughts too. But man, Nick, you deserve to be happy, bro. I think that's an affirmation too. Like,
it is.
I deserve. I think so. Like, but you deserve to be happy. You do. I think Spencer said something like that, if I'm not mistaken, when I read it. But anyway, you deserve to be happy, and I just want you to know that. And I love you. And if I can do anything for you, let me know. And you know, hey man, I'm always here for you, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Thank you again for taking the time out to join us, and we'll do it again real soon, man.
All right, cuz, late, man.
Love you too. Appreciate you.
Peace.
Later.